So in this video we will learn about Lambda trigger with S3, and we will read the file content that has been uploaded to our S3 bucket. So we will start first by creating a Lambda function. In the meantime, I already have created a bucket which we will use in this demo, and also I have created a info.json, that this is the file that we will be uploading and doing all our test. So we will quickly go to Lambda function, right? We'll create a new Lambda function. We will name it as YT, so S3 trigger demo. This is the name that I will give. So runtime can be Node.js 14, right? I will create the function. So function is ready. I will open my index.js file, right? And so first thing that I will do is attach the S3 trigger, right? So I'll go to add trigger. So what we will do, we will search for S3, right? So we have to select this bucket name. So if you see, this is our bucket name, right? YT demo bucket. So we will search for that YT demo bucket, right? And event type, let us subscribe for all object create event. Here are few other options, like you can give a prefix like images slash. So if you have any file that starts with images slash, so it will only trigger for that, or you can trigger based on your extension. So I can say only for JPG it will trigger. So this kind of functions I have, but I will not do that. So what you have to do is you have to acknowledge on this. So what it says is since we are reading this in our Lambda function, so it is saying we should not write the same content back to the S3 bucket, because since there is a trigger, and if we again write it, so another trigger will create, which will again write come to the Lambda. So it will kind of create an infinite loop. So that's what this recursion invocation warns us about. So we will not write anything back to the S3. All we will do is we will read the S3 content. So these are the settings that we will do, and we will say add. Right now this S3 bucket trigger has been added. So if you see here, S3 is showing, and if you come to this configuration option also, and you come to trigger, you can see this S3 trigger is enabled, right? So what we will do is we will go to our code, right? And we don't need any of this, right? So what we will do is we'll just console.log, we will log our event, right? Only the event we will log, we will deploy, and we will go to CloudWatch to see what things we get from an S3 bucket trigger, right? So we will go to monitoring, we will go to view logs in CloudWatch. It will open, right? As of now we won't be having any logs. So what we will do is we will come to code, do a test on this, right? So we will say dummy test, right? And we will create the JSON. Now if I run this test, right, it will log this information here. Then if I go to CloudWatch, I should get my logs added here, right? So this is the log that has been created. So I'll open this in a new tab, and we will see, right? So this is the log that has been created, right? So I will delete this one because this was just a test log, so I'll delete. Okay, now I will come here. So event, we are doing the console log. Now this is already attached with the trigger, so we will come to our S3 bucket, we will do an upload. So we'll go to upload, add files, right? I already have a file, info.json. So I click this info.json will be listed here. then I'll do upload. It is doing the upload successful, right? We will come to this lambda function. We will wait for a few seconds so that the trigger is sent from S3 to lambda function, and lambda function will write it to the CloudWatch logs, right? So if we open the CloudWatch log and we'll do a refresh, we should have got a log, right? This is the log that we have. So we'll open it in a new tab. I prefer to open it in a new tab because it gives more accessibility. I can come back to the original CloudWatch, right? So if you see, this is the info that has been logged by the S3 event, right? So what it says, event source, right? Event source is AWS S3 bucket, right? What is the region of that bucket, right? And we have one S3 object. So these are showing in object, right? So what we can do is we will do json.stringify, right? And in this stringify we will add our event, right? We will deploy. I just want to show you what are the different options that are available with us, right? So I will delete this one, delete, right? Nothing is there. I'll come to my S3 bucket also. I'll close. I'll delete and re-upload it. So delete, which okay, so I'll delete the object, right? Okay, so I have done json.stringify. So what I will do is upload, right? Add file, same info.json. I'll do a upload, right? Upload success, right? I'll come to S3. So it must have logged that event by now. We'll just give it 5-6 seconds so that the information travels from S3 to lambda and then from lambda to your CloudWatch, right? So we'll come to CloudWatch, do a refresh, right? We have got this new log. So open link in new tab and we should see the detailed log, right? So if you see, we have the event source, event region, right, and few other things. Important is this S3, which gives us this bucket name, YT demo bucket, and this object, right? Object is info.json. So if you see, YT demo bucket was the name of our bucket. If you see, YT demo bucket was the name of our bucket, and we uploaded info.json, right? So this is the information that we got, info.json, right? So what we will now do is we'll try to read this information, right? So if you see this log file, this JSON file, we have some name, date and status, some dummy data, right? So now since we have this trigger enabled, we'll try to read its information, what is there inside that S3 now uploaded file, right? So for that, what we have to use is AWS SDK. And the best part is when you do this in AWS Lambda, you don't have to install AWS SDK. It is already available there. So all you have to do is to require this. So I'll say const AWS equals to require, right, and AWS SDK, right? And what I have to do is I have to update the AWS configuration. Config dot update. I'll update my region, okay. And how to get this region information? You can get it from here. So I am in the Ohio region, so it is US East 2, right? So US East 2, right? So this is the US East 2 region that I'm working on, right? Okay, so next thing is what we can do is extract the bucket name and file name from this event object, right? So what we can do is we can say bucket name equals to, we will do something with this, right, and const file name equals to, now we'll do something with this, right? So if you see what information we have record or records, which is one array, right? So what we have to do, records of 0, right? Then we have to get into S3, right? Then bucket, then name. This is how we will get the bucket name. Similarly, record of 0, then S3, then object, then key. So this is the path that we'll follow to extract our bucket and file name information, right? So what I can do is I can say event. Within that I will go to records, right? Within that I will pick up the first 0th object, 0th index, right? So event, right? This whole thing is the event, right? So event, I went to record and I am picking up the 0th index, right? So this is the 0th index, right? Then what I have to do, in 0th index I have to pick up this S3. So we will go to S3, right? Then for bucket I have to go to bucket and then name. So what I can do is bucket, then name, right? And similarly file name also, see till this much, till S3 this is same, right? From after S3 onwards I have object and key, right? So what I can do is I will say object and I will say key, right? So this should give me my bucket and file name, right? Now what we will do is we will just test it once, right? So I'll remove this and bucket name and file name. So next what we can do is deploy, right? And I don't like to keep this, so I will, what I can do is I can delete this one so that when we come back we will have a fresh log, right? And what we can do is we'll re-upload this one. So we'll go to upload, add files. I think it will allow me to re-upload with a new name. So open, right, and upload. Okay, I think it has re-uploaded with the same name. That's fine, that will serve our purpose, right? So upload it successful, right? So if you see the timestamp 22:37, 22:37, so it has just uploaded just now. So we'll come to S3, sorry, we'll come to Lambda, and again we will come to CloudWatch, right? So what we can do is we'll do a refresh, right? We will have a CloudWatch log. From there we can go to that particular log, right? We have this information yt bucket demo and info.json. So this is how we have extracted the file name and bucket name from that event object, right? So what we can do is we will write a small helper function which will help us in reading the S3 object, right? So what we can do is const read S3 object, right? And of course it has to be an async function, right, which will take one bucket name and file name as its function, as its parameter, right? And it should return me the content of the file, right? So for that what I have to do is from that AWS SDK, right, I will create an S3 object, right? So which will be S3 equals to new AWS dot S3, right? So I will create a S3 object, right? And I will create a parameter object, right? The const param equals to, right, parameter will have two things, one is the bucket name and one is the file name, right? So I will say bucket is our bucket name, right, and key is our file name, and this should be bucket name. So I will copy from here, right, bucket name, right? And now what we will do is we will write a promise. So return new promise, right? So what this promise will have is a function, right? This is the function, and this function takes two argument. One is resolve, one is reject. Resolve and reject, right? So what resolve will do is, if the function is successful, we will call the resolve method. If there is something wrong, some exception happens, we will do the reject call, right? So what we will do is, we have this s3 object, right? So it will say s3 dot get object, right? And I will pass the uh, param object, and I want to name it as plural because multiple parameters are there, so I'll make it as params, right? Params. And this will give me a callback function which will have an error object and a data object, right? So if error object is there, that means something is gone wrong, and if we have the data object, that means we have the data from s3 object, right? So what we can do is, if error, right, what we can do is, we will call our reject method and we'll pass the error object. Then we'll come to else part, right? What we can do is resolve, right, and data, right? But one caveat here is, this data is in buffer form, it is not in plain text, right? So what we have to do is, we have to get the body of the data and convert it to string, right, in UTF-8 format. So now this is how we will get the actual JSON object from the data, otherwise it will be just a buffer data, right? Now what we can do is, we can come here, add a try catch block, right? And what we can do is, first we'll write this catch. So catch, what we can do is, we can say console.error, right? We will print, we will add this e object, the error object, right? And in this code, what I can say is, const result equals to, we will say await, because we have created this as async function, so we will await on this, right? What we have to await on read s3 object, and pass the bucket name and the file name, that's all, right? And what we can do is, console.log, we will log the result, right? And what I can do is, bring in this inside this one, and 1 minute, I'll cut and paste, right? So I have the bucket name and this console log. For some time I will keep it just to see what console log I am getting, right? It should be in a try catch, because there is a chance that it will reject, right? So it will become unheld exception, so I have put this in a try catch block, right? So if we get the result, it will log the result, otherwise it will log the error object, right? And I think with this much setup, we are ready to test our first s3 bucket read. So we'll do a deploy, right? We'll close this CloudWatch, we will come here, we'll do a refresh and delete. You don't necessarily have to delete this log, but I just feel like always working on one instance when I'm doing all the development work, so I always keep on deleting the old CloudWatch logs, right? So I'll show you this data again, so it has name, date, and status, right? So this should be the data that we will upload to our s3 bucket, and we should be able to log it in our CloudWatch, right? So what I can do is, I can come to our Lambda function, then we'll go to our s3 bucket. What we will do is, we will delete object, right? So that we can work on a clean slate. So what we can do is, we will come to upload, add files, right? I'll upload info.json and upload, Upload succeeded. I'll close this one. Right, so timestamp is 22:44, right, so 10:44 p.m. So this is the latest file that we have, right. So it will come to our S3 trigger and it will read the S3 object and it should have logged that file information. So we'll come to CloudWatch. It should not have logged. I'm pretty sure it should not have logged, because there is one more thing that we need to do, right. So we'll come to our log, right, open link in new tab. It should have thrown a permission denied error, right. If you see this one, access denied. Access denied to S3 object. That is fine, that is perfectly fine. I wanted to demo this part, right. So now what is the problem is that this lambda function doesn't have access to read the S3 object information. So what we can do is we can go to configuration, we will go to permission and we will open this permission. This is the IAM role that has been attached to this lambda function, right. So if you see this one, policy summary in JSON, what it says is only it has access to create a log stream to the CloudWatch, right. That is the only permission that it has. So what I can do is attach policy, right, and I will go to S3 and I will attach S3 read only policy. See, if you want you can give Amazon S3 full access, but since in this case I have to read the S3 information only, so I am giving the S3 read only access. So I'll say attach policy, right. So it has S3 read only access policy now. Now what we can do is we'll come to CloudWatch, we will delete this log stream, right. We'll come to our S3, we will upload again the same file, info.json, right. We will upload, right. Timestamp is 10:47, so we will close, right. 22:47 is the timestamp that we got, right. And now that trigger should have happened and it should have come to this lambda function, and from this lambda function it should have gone to this CloudWatch. I closed CloudWatch. Okay, configuration, monitoring. Again I'll open CloudWatch. CloudWatch, right. Now I have this another log stream, so I'll open this one, right. If you can see this one, this is our S3 bucket info, right. So name, date and status. So if you see this one, this is what it has logged. So we uploaded this info.json file to our S3 bucket. From S3 bucket we created a trigger to this lambda function, and in this lambda function we wrote a small function to read the S3 bucket information and output it to our CloudWatch log, right. So this is how you read from S3 file on